Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo.
All right, and we are back. It's been a while since the whole gang's been back together. Steve, what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, eating chocolate. That's pretty much my lich.
Are you eating your way out of business, or are you leaving stuff for customers?
Hey, I never answer those questions. I'm doing good. We finished our outdoor movies for the summer, and we're just doing chocolate shop stuff.
Excellent. And you have Magic Mondays every Monday?
We do. So we just have a magician. Lefty Cress comes in every Monday, and he actually will do magic around all the tables. His partner Celeste does balloon sculptures. It's fun.
Very nice.
Every Monday, about 7 to 10-ish.
7 to 10. I need to bring Glennon in sometime to check that out. I still have not.
What?
Cool.
You
What?
haven't gotten
I know. I'm a horrible father.
Come on, it's chocolate.
Andrea,
It's fun.
how have you been?
I've been good. It's been a while. I've missed you guys. I've been busy with the web series, but it's, released and going off really well. And I am now full-time acting at Salt Lake Acting Company. So working on a play and just rehearsing my butt off.
Wow. What's the play you're working on right now?
The play is called Winter, and we open October 14th, and it runs through just before Thanksgiving. But it's about Alzheimer's. It's a woman who she's kind of going downhill pretty quickly, and her husband had made a pact to go out together early, but her husband's not declining as quickly as she is. So now she's enlisting her daughter, who I play, or granddaughter, to help her kind of take, I guess they call it self-deliverance. Go on before things get really bad. So it's good, it's cute, it's funny, but it does have a serious topic.
Interesting. Okay.
What have you been up to, Dylan?
Not much. Just living the graphic designer's life, making pretty pictures for everybody. I went to Comic-Con, and you and Steve did as well.
Yes.
Never quite connected with you guys. How was Comic-Con for you guys?
Well, how about you, Steve?
I saw snakes.
Really? Lots
Yeah.
of snakes?
Well, Creatures Encounters. I love those guys.
Those
So I
guys
saw
creep
snake.
me out. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I love animals. Like snakes and spiders. I definitely don't do creepy crawlies.
Yeah, but Little Pretzel's cool. It's a cute little snake.
I love that it's called Little Pretzel.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Comic-Con, we've got another geeky episode. I think I should just rename the podcast, because we end up going geek instead of creativity. On that note, we've got the owners of WATCHTOWER CAFE,
Hello.
Mike and Cori. Now, you've got kind of difficult last names. Can you?
We both do, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Mine is not pronounced as it's spelled. It's Hoekstra, like Captain Hook, but you spell it Hoekstra. It's Dutch, and the Dutch do things weird, I guess.
And my name is pronounced exactly how it's spelled, Tuiasoa, but still people have trouble and difficulty saying it ever since I moved here. So since I was 12 years old, all my friends call me Tui. So Mike, Tui, I answer to both.
Okay. My last name's mine's Italian, Mazziotti. Most people say Mazziotti. I answer to either.
Taking like a tour around the world.
Depending on my level of if I want to correct them or not.
Yes.
I've actually had my last name mispronounced so many times that there's times I catch myself mispronouncing my own last name. So.
Yeah, my father-in-law, when he gave my son his blessing in church, he knew the proper way to say it, but he said it the wrong way during that blessing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it the wrong way just on purpose.
Does that mean he's not blessed if it's said the wrong way?
No.
No. Hey, at least it's just your last names. My first name, Andrea, I get pronounced Andrea, Andra. Like one of my best friends from Miami still calls me Andrea. And so I'm fine with it. It's the same name. It's just different dialects. But I'm just kind of like, oh.
Well, I would always sit in school when they take attendance the first day of school, and they would be going down all the names, Allred, Smith, like all the Utah names, and then the teacher would get to Mike, long pause, and I was raising my hand here. It's me. Don't worry about pronouncing it.
Well, it would kill them because my parents also gave me, I love my middle name, but it's Danee with an accent. And so most people just look at it and they're like, Danye, and it's Danae. But then my last name, also very simple. My maiden name was Kyle, but it's spelled Kile. So I'd always get like Andrea, Danny, Kile. And I'm
Kile.
like, yes, here.
Names are weird.
They are. I just thought it was interesting to start with since. Anyway, so Watchtower Cafe, kind of describe how that came about.
Cori, you start.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a kind of a crossing of paths of his and ours, but we kind of I've always wanted to kind of start my own business. I've always been frustrated working for somebody else, and I always had a plan to work for myself. And so I always came up with ideas of different businesses, and one of them was always to do like a cafe or like a coffee shop. I've always wanted to be a barista or a bartender. And it just so happened that I was working at this place, Coffee Connection, and they wanted to sell. And Tui over here already had a business plan.
Yeah, like years, I think it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. Just my cousin and I would stay up late, kind of throwing around like what ifs, what if questions, like what if we had our own comic book shop? What would it look like? And we just stay up all night, like just geeking out. He and I were both really big comic book superhero nerds and Star Wars, Star Trek, and it just kind of we'd one up each other with ideas like, oh, it'd have to be this way, it'd have to be that way, and it'd have to be a comic book shop that's not like anything else that's out there right now, because otherwise, why would people come here? And one of the ideas was, let's have a little coffee shop bar, like a coffee bar in a little cafe in the corner, and we can have couches to where people can come and buy comics and stay and hang out, play games, drink some coffee, whatever. And then fast forward like several years, that was the idea that never went away, right? It was just kind of every few years or so, like my cousin and I would get together, like, it would be really cool if we had the shop, right? And this happened. I met Cori, and she's working at Coffee Connection, and kind of made a half serious joke about, I should buy a Coffee Connection and turn it into Watchtower. And that same day that I was joking around with that with Cori, she kind of inquired with the manager at the time, and it's turned out that they were looking to sell, and so it happened really fast. Like that same day, the ball started rolling, and I was like, oh wow, okay, let's do it. Let's just jump in.
Yeah, that space is kind of big for just
big.
a
Yes.
coffee shop.
Yeah.
You've been in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I think that's kind of why the owners of Coffee Connection wanted to leave that space, because they were just doing coffee, and a couple of they started doing sandwiches, kind of maybe a little too late in the game, but it was mostly just coffee and some pastries and stuff. And if you're only doing that, it's such a big space that I think it was just too big for just a coffee shop. So they moved to Trolley Square, in a really cool, really, really nice spot.
How long ago was this when you guys actually opened your doors?
Not quite a year. So here in about a couple of weeks, we're going to have our 1 year anniversary.
We opened
Are
doors
you having
October
a big
9th.
party?
Not a big
Yes.
party, no.
No,
We wanted to.
A quiet, solemn party?
A few,
Yeah.
if you would have asked us before Comic-Con, maybe several months ago, we had big plans. We were going to do a block party. We have a lot of friends who are musicians. We're going to have bands there play. And the closer it got to Comic-Con, the more stressed out we were getting about that. And then now post Comic-Con, we're like,
that's-
let's just do it like our friends and
Yeah.
maybe some of our first customers, and we'll just do that. So it's just going to be a very, very low key, like, come and let us say thank you for supporting us in this
Yeah.
first year. And that's about all we're doing.
We've always been a sword family.
Yes, we are a sword family.
So we're kind of just do like this little small party of melon cutting with all our broadswords
We have
and
broadswords, katanas, and some like anime looking swords.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we're just going to chop some melons up.
So talk a little bit, because I mean, just jumping off that whole thing, like more than a coffee shop. I've known you guys almost from the very beginning. I love you
Right.
guys. Luckily, you guys are literally like 4 blocks from where I live,
Yeah.
so the convenience is nice. But talk to us about like all the things that are beyond the coffee. Oh, but you have to talk about the coffee and all the unique things that you guys do with the coffee.
Do you want us to talk about the coffee first, or the or the other stuff?
Whatever sounds natural.
Okay.
We when we kind of announced to some of our friends, we've got like a really nice network of really supportive people that also
Good friends.
have reaches in very different like hobbies or things to be enthusiastic about aside from geeky stuff. And I had a friend of mine who was just like, I know the perfect coffee guy, and referred us. But before we even opened our doors, there was like a little bit of a transition period where the doors were closed. We were kind of going in and getting some stuff fixed up. And in walks this guy. I forgot to lock one of the doors. And he comes in with bags of coffee beans, and he's very exuberant and kept talking my ear off just about like how much he loves coffee and how much we should buy these beans. And we were going to shop around. We wanted to be more of like a local community center or a local coffee shop that sold like like a local roaster and
But
local
it had
pastries.
to be good.
Yeah, it
because
had to.
of the nature of the business, where we're kind of trying to combine two businesses, right? Like geeky, like comic books and events and games and things like that, along with coffee. And I was terrified of being pegged as a gimmick, right? Like trying to ride this novelty wave of like, geeks are what's popular right now, and Star Wars is cool, and comic books and the Marvel movies are just awesome right now. So I didn't want to be accused of like just being a novelty act, a one-hit wonder of sorts. And so the coffee had to be good. I didn't know a whole lot about coffee. I loved coffee, but that was one of the things that we're going to take a tour de Salt Lake of all the roasters in Salt Lake and make sure that we got what we felt was the best, because the coffee had to be good if we were going to do this the right way.
And we never did it.
We never did it because Joe
You guys
Evans.
are killing me. Who is this guy? This strange guy that showed up at this
Joe
store.
Evans walks in. He was the owner of No Brow Coffee, if you guys remember back in the day.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's now
and
Blue Copper, but he's
Blue
not
Copper
part of
now.
it.
He, man, I can't say enough great things about Joe. Like he's the most knowledgeable person about coffee, and I believe that Salt Lake has a very lively and growing coffee culture, in the third wave realm of really high end, very good coffee, world class. And I think Joe's like part of the reason why Salt Lake is something to look at that. As far as coffee goes, he's a huge part of why the coffee's so good here.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with third wave coffee, just the way that I kind of explain it is most big chain coffee shops assumes that you don't like the taste of coffee. Third wave has a higher espresso to milk ratio, so you actually can taste the espresso. So it in the style of third wave assumes that you do like the taste of coffee. It's not hidden by a whole bunch of sugar or anything like that. That the inherent taste is there by the way it's made.
There's a long history, and Joe will talk your ear off if you want to open that can of worms
Yes.
and talk about coffee. He will talk, and that's what happened. So Joe brings in these samples from La Barba. He's working with La Barba Coffee now. Used to be Charming Beard, and we crack a bag open and brew some up. One sip, and Cori and I looked at each other. We're like, I don't think there's really any reason to go anywhere else. This is by far the greatest coffee I've ever had in my life. And so that was it. We went exclusive with La Barba, and we feel confident in saying that we have the best coffee in Salt Lake.
There's a lot of our baristas too. We put through a really good like training regimen, something worthy of like a Rocky montage sort of deal.
Yep. They have to punch coffee bags in the
Yes.
freezer. one-handed push-ups.
And then run through the snow.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah, with coffee
bags
beans
on
on
there.
there. Yeah.
They're a bunch of bums, all of them.
Follow them behind and
But yeah, we put we require all of our baristas to go through the La Barba Barista Academy classes, and now our staff is big enough that we just kind of invite Joe to come do the training right at Watchtower at our shop.
Yeah.
So the coffee's good, Andrea. Did that answer your question?
It did. And talk about your fun drinks.
They're fun.
the fun drinks.
The fun drinks.
Joe calls them our fluffy
Our
drinks.
fluffy drinks. Our froofy drinks.
Yeah, froofy drinks.
Because that's where we separate ourselves from like being an actual third wave coffee shop, like places like Blue Copper or Three Cups or Public that kind of do coffee in a very traditional way. We have that, but we've kind of just adopted third wave techniques and applied them to our way of doing things, I
Yeah.
guess you could say. So
And we're also much more than a coffee shop too. I mean, the coffee is what we can we can really get behind, and I would call ourselves like a coffee shop, but also specialty beverage, because we do a lot of Italian sodas. We do boba tea as well. I think we're one of the few places in the valley that actually serves boba tea, and
our signatures, though, like the first
Yeah.
one before we opened, Cori came up with this recipe for a coffee smoothie. So it has fresh bananas, dates, almonds, and what else? And chocolate protein powder, vegan protein powder, blended with iced coffee and almond milk. So it's completely vegan, and we call it the Donkey Kong. And that Cori was messing around with that recipe before we even opened. When we were starting to enter discussions of purchasing Coffee Connection with the owners at home, it got really fun at home because we're like, what are we gonna serve? Like, let's do this and this. So Cori came up with this, and like everyone in our family just loved it. And so that was kind of the first original recipe drink was the Donkey Kong. And Joe Evans was training us one day, and it got really busy. And so he's like, here, let me jump behind and help you make drinks and stuff. And so he's making lattes and cappuccinos, and somebody orders a Donkey Kong. He goes, what the hell is a Donkey Kong?
I'm pulling out all this stuff, and he's like,
He's
"This is
judging
very
us.
interesting."
And now, like, ever since then, I love making him cringe with like all of our non like traditional drinks.
Do you guys remember your first customer?
Who was our first?
And I'm not talking family or friends, but like your first walk-in or first customer. Like, do you remember?
I do remember
that
our first
experience? What was
customer. It was somebody who thought we were Coffee Connection.
Yeah, well, actually, that was everyone the first day.
Yeah, it was because the couple of weeks that we were closed when we were trying to transition, no matter how many signs we put up on the doors, everybody was like trying to open the door, and they'd see us in, and then they'd like knock and wave us in.
Yeah.
And we would open the door, and they're like, "Oh, can I get some coffee?" And we're like, "We're not open
Closed.
right now." Yeah. So our very first customer was a Coffee Connection customer that was just like, "Oh, this is different. Can I get some coffee?"
Yeah. I don't really remember that. It's a little vague. What I do remember is that the first day, the first couple of weeks, I will say the first 2 weeks, the majority of our customers were our friends and family. Our friends kept us in business that first month because people. So what happened was before we took over Coffee Connection, they had some building issues and like plumbing stuff that had to be fixed before, and we was like, I'm not signing anything until that's fixed. So there was a period of time where Coffee Connection was shut down for about 2 or 3 weeks, closer to a month, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, closer to a month. Coffee Connection was just shut down, doors locked. It was out of business, closed for business, and so when we opened back up, by that time, people were used to Coffee Connection being closed, and so the regular traffic of customers was not coming through. So we 100% stayed in business. We survived that first month because of our friends, because of how awesome our friends and our network and our whatever family that we had here would come. They would come every single day, and like my really close friends, I would try to hook them up, say, hey, you don't have to. Your money's no good here. You don't have to buy coffee from me. And everyone insisted on paying full price, no discount. Like, don't give me a discount. I want to pay full price for coffee so I can support you guys. And they would come every single day and buy coffee. They would buy food, and they would insist on paying full price. So those, you asked if we're going to do like a big party. We're going to do a very small party for those people
yeah.
to thank them for really keeping us in business that first month.
What I have to say, just real quick to jump in, that I've loved, speaking of like all these different people that know you guys, I feel like I learned about you from like 10 different people.
Sweet.
It was actually really funny because I learned about you from Mario DeAngelis.
Yes, I have a history with Mario, a long history.
We were talking about doing an event for our web series with you guys. And like, oh, there's this great coffee shop called Watchtower. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I learned about you guys from my friend Scott, who I do a fun, geeky podcast with as well. He's like, we should meet up at this great place called Watchtower. And I was like, I know where that is. I've been there. Then Amanda Squishy told me about you guys. But basically just these several different people were like, let's meet up at this coffee shop. And it was always you guys. And I was like, guys, I know exactly where it is. I've been there multiple times. And I just have to say it's really cool that you guys are connected in the community, and whether it's geeky, whether it's music, whether it's coffee, it's really cool to see that like you guys have become a name here, and you, like you guys have said, you haven't even been open a year, and that is so cool and exciting.
Well, and it really is the strength and power of our friends. We just have really good friends, I think, and that's what it is. I decided a long time ago that I was in a really dark place in my early 20s, and realized that a lot of the people I was hanging out with and spending time with were vampires and sucking the life out of me, and just bad. Just weren't bringing anything of value to my life. And not that I want to be selfish and say that everyone who's around me needs to bring something to the table, but so many people were just sucking and taking that I was like, my soul was just dying. And so I made a decision to just start cutting toxic people out of my life at that time. And it's worked out really well. And, my time is valuable. So I want to spend it with people that I think are worth the time. And I know that sounds really arrogant, and I don't mean it to come across that way, but I surround myself with good people, and good things happen.
And one of the concepts of Watchtower was supposed to kind of actually be a little bit of a community space. We know a lot of artistic people, a lot of performance people that are performers, or a lot of painters, artists, and everything. And so the whole idea for me behind Watchtower was to make it a big like geeky community center where if you needed to get out of the house and work on some writing or something like that, well, coffee is almost like the go-to, drug, so to speak.
It is.
So you go somewhere that's inviting and friendly and has the space and the coffee that you can kind of nurse while you're sitting there just typing away at your laptop. Or if, you made a new song or something like that, and you want to perform it, then, there's Watchtower. It's got a great kind of venue space, and everybody can order something, kind of be content and happy while they're kind of enjoying all of this art.
Yeah, the coffee and the food and the cafe side is really just, that's kind of the engine that keeps the car running, right? What the reason that we have the cafe really is so that we can do the things we want to do, like have a big space where people can come and play, Star Wars X-Wing or Dungeons and Dragons, and have magic tournaments, or have a cool open mic and do comedy or poetry and do film screenings, things like that. It's kind of hard to run an event center or venue space like that and make money. So the cafe side is really just those are the gears that keep that allow the space to be there.
Yeah, and that way we can do things like we have an art gallery that's in there, and we don't charge like normal gallery commission takeaway. mainly because we want the artists to be making the money. We don't need the money as far as that space goes, because everybody
cafe.
that's coming in is
They're buying food and
to see your art is buying drinks from us. So it's kind of like a circle of support, I would say, along our network of friends, where we give them the space and the audience, and then they come in and they actually provide the entertainment for our little.
Yep.
Have there been lessons, or I don't know, running a business? I know I've made mistakes. Have you guys?
You made mistakes?
I know,
Man,
surprise.
I've
That's
never
amazing.
made mistakes.
What mistakes have you guys made, or what obstacles have you overcome that maybe you didn't expect that were kind of unexpected? And like, what advice would you have for others that want to do the same thing?
If Cori doesn't have one, I have one.
Okay, go
always
ahead.
use spell check when creating your flyers. So what happened was we're right across the street from Salt Lake Community College on State Street, the South City campus, right?
Yep.
And we're like, dude, there's so many students. It's going to be a cash cow. We can just go and advertise to all the students there. And we have all these really cool, Cori came up with these really cool campaign of marketing where we had a donation of a ton of those vintage trading cards, Marvel trading cards, where it has like the superhero on one side. On the back, it has like their stats, almost like a baseball card, but it's like what their powers are and everything. So we had like just tons of these, and we're like, okay, we're going to print off a coupon sticker and put it on the back. So the front will have like a sticker of Daredevil, and on the back it'll say free grilled cheese with a purchase of coffee. And so we print off like 200 of those, and then a few hundred little flyers that we were going to go and just blast on the community boards at the college, and through all of the all of the cars in the parking lots. And myself, my sister who was living here at that time. And then even a couple of my kids, I think, went, and we just bombed them with flyers and coupons. We were passing them out to students, gave out like hundreds of these. And I got back to the shop and was like, yeah, we're so awesome. We're so great. We're so cool. And I had even taken a picture of the coupon and posted it on Facebook, like, look what we're doing. We're so great. We're so creative. And then someone commented like, isn't Watchtower supposed to have an extra T in it? And I had misspelled the name of my own business. And I was like, I just gave out like 400 of these. Oh, it was so mad. I was like, Cori, can you just fire me? I quit. I'm selling the business. I'm going home. And this is like in the real early days. It was our first big blast. And I was so mad. I was like, I'm taking the rest of the day off. I just need to go away. I need to go away somewhere else. And we're right next door to a tattoo shop, Ironclad. Great dudes. We love all those guys. They come in for coffee every day. And I was like, I'm going to go see the boys next door. I'm going to go like vent. And I went over there and just decided to spur the moment to get tattooed. And that's where I got my knuckle tats from. So on one side I have Jedi and the other side I have Sith.
Nice.
So use spell check. That's what I learned.
You spelled Sith right. You got the T in there.
I did. And I made it extra. And now like every time I spell anything, whether it's the menu on the chalkboard or campaign flyers or anything, I always take it to Cori like, is this spelled right? Can you spell check for me? Because I don't trust myself anymore.
I've been in the same boat. I do a lot of stuff for Wise Guys Comedy Downtown, and same thing. Menus, I've spelled like simple ingredients wrong, and
It's sometimes if you're staring at, so if you're working on a project and you're working on it for a while, you're staring at it for days. After a while, the words that are spelled correctly look like they're spelled incorrectly, and I'm not sure. And I sometimes second guess myself.
And the English language is screwed up anyway. There's no
It's the worst language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, at the shop, how do you guys divide up the responsibilities? Cori's probably the coffee, but outside of that,
well, we kind of just had been going through conversations about this. Some difficult, sometimes they make sense, and like trying to figure this growth out, because in the beginning, everyone did everything. We were so small. We had 3 employees. And then Cori and myself, and it was easy for everybody to do everything, right? It was just like, oh, we need milk, I'll go to Costco. Oh, we need flyers, I can make those. Someone needs to be trained on this, Cori can train them. And whatever it was, like everybody just picked up the slack of whatever there was.
It was kind of like playing volleyball, where like the ball's coming at you, and then somebody's just like, they call it, and they took care of it.
Yeah.
I was kind of like the manager for a while, but I've been a marketing student, and one of the main drives of me actually getting my own business was because I kind of felt like I really knew how to promote it and create like a little bit of a culture behind it. So I've just started assuming the responsibility of, like, say, the art gallery and
social media.
Contacting people to kind of get like some events.
Networking. She's good at schmoozing, something that I'm not good at. She likes to go to parties. Like, we went to we got into the Salt Lake or the City Weekly Arties.
Hey.
Sorry, we selfied. You couldn't see that in radio land, in podcast land, but we selfied.
We'll post it.
We got into the Arties, and that was like our first really like major award, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I'm not I don't like to go to parties, especially where there's a bunch of people that I don't know. And Cori likes that stuff, and so she's good at like going and networking and meeting people. She was walking around the Urban Arts Fest, just talking to artists for potential art gallery stuff, and she's good at that.
It's a little bit easier when people feed me free booze too. So
Just keep the beer going. But Salt Lake. So this last Comic-Con was a very big learning experience for us. They approached the Salt Lake Comic-Con approached us to run their speed dating. They had a different company running it up until now, and they wanted to go with someone local, and so we did. And we ran it half, like we kind of had an idea of what we were doing, and a lot of it was just, let's just jump in and teach ourselves how to swim. And so we did that. It was crazy. 3 days of just complete pandemonium and just craziness. It went really well, but we were so focused on the event at Comic-Con that the shop got completely neglected. Like, we were out of all this food. We were out of the fridges were low on milk and like all these things. And I didn't check the staffing to make sure that we had enough staff for the traffic that we were getting. Completely neglected. Didn't even step foot in the shop while Comic-Con was going because we were so focused on that. And coming back from that was an eye-opening experience for me, realizing that, okay, what we're trying to do is something a little bit different, and we've grown to a point where we need those events. We need the marketing arm to be strong. We need to keep doing these really cool events at the shop, and we need to be outside of the shop too, like at the farmers markets and Comic-Cons, things like that. So we also need to make sure that the shop is running smoothly, that the cafe behind the counter is going well. So we kind of had to sit down. Cori and I had a business date, which we often do at a different coffee shop. I think we went to Coffee Garden, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I went to Coffee Garden and sat down and kind of hashed it out. Like, okay, who's going to do what? And what are our skills? What are we good at? What can I take off of your plate? And what can I put on mine? And just kind of divided it up that way. And I feel like it's still new, right? So we're still kind of transitioning. I'm just transitioning on taking over some of the general manager stuff, and Cori's still transitioning on taking over a lot of the some of the social networking things. So it's new, and we're learning on that. But we've grown to a point, which is not, it's a nice problem to have. Grown to a point where we have to start delegating and actually have like job responsibilities instead of everybody doing everything.
it's really hard running your own business and then bringing somebody in and just saying like, well, this is yours, your responsibility now. Because it's kind of like having like a project, your own baby, and then just completely giving trust over to somebody else.
Yep.
That they can run it. But
Cut the baby in half.
But when it came to Comic-Con, we had employees that were working like double shifts too, and they had no problem with it. Our employees are so...
They're our biggest fans.
Yes. And they will give their blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that the shop's still running, that everything's covered and everything's just going. And they do it well.
Yeah. I'm very, very proud of the staff that we have. We're very selective. We have lots of resumes that come through, and I mean, I wish we could hire everybody, but we can't afford to hire everyone, and so we have to be very, very selective about who we bring on and who we treat it like a family business. It always from the beginning was like, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it kind of is a family business, but we treat all of our staff as if we're inviting them into our family.
And they're all geek about something.
Yeah.
That's a requirement to work.
It is a requirement. You have to be a geek about something, because that's the one thing you can't teach. We can teach you all day about coffee.
Yeah.
If you have a passion for coffee and you don't know how to make it, we can teach you. Like, we've gotten it down to a very a good technique and a science almost, that we can make anyone an excellent barista as long as they have a passion for coffee. What we can't teach you is a love for Star Wars or an unhealthy obsession for comic books or
Legend of
things like
Zelda.
that. You have to be able to geek out with a customer if they come in and want to geek out about something.
I worked at Media Play back in the day, and I was in the music section, and some of my favorite moments were geeking out with customers about music.
It makes the place special for you. Like,
Yes.
if I was a customer and I came in to Media Play and we had like a geek out, I would probably come back to try and find you again. And
I used to work in the movie section. Did we work together?
Which
At
one
one point.
were you at?
I was at the Redwood one.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we might have.
I was there for
Well, hello, coworker.
about 5 years, like 93 to 96, I think.
Oh, okay. I was only there for about 2 years before the FYE takeover.
Okay. Did you know Rick
Yes.
back in music? Yeah.
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 Okay.
He's been there forever. He's still there.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Small Lake City.
Yep.
Yep. Where did the name Watchtower come from?
That was from my cousin Mark and I went in our late night geek out sessions. That's the name has always been Watchtower from the beginning. We were kind of like trying to think of what's the name of this comic book shop going to be, and he was the one that came up with the idea, not knowing what the name was. He was like, "What's the headquarters of the Justice League? That spaceship that goes around the Earth?" I was like, "Oh, Watchtower. It's the Watchtower." And he goes, "Yeah, it should be that." And I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect." And we just kind of stuck with it, kind of because it was a cool name, and it didn't really dawn on me until maybe like 6 months into the business, into Watchtower opening, that I really realized how fitting that name was for what we're doing. And because like Cori said, she always wanted it to be a community center for the geeks. It's a place that I feel like was needed in the geek community here in Salt Lake, because there's not really a whole lot of places for our people to congregate and meet and hang out.
Because most of the comic book shops are teeny.
Yeah.
They're packed with the books and stuff.
I love comic book shops.
And there's nowhere to sit. They don't have chairs.
Yeah, Hester's the only place I can think of that has like room,
More space.
More
Yeah.
space.
And it's as much as I love game shops and comic book shops, it's not always the most inviting place to stay and hang out. You kind of go, you browse. If you know somebody that's working there, or you start a geek out session, you can hang out with somebody, but I wouldn't call it necessarily inviting. So it had to be, we were trying to create an inviting place, a place for people to meet and congregate. And really, Watchtower is the headquarters for the Justice League, Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman. That's where they go to watch over the planet that they protect.
And to drink their coffee.
They do have a cafe in the Watchtower. If you watch the Justice League animated series, there is a cafe and Flash's favorite drink is an iced mocha. Just
You
FYI.
better have that.
Oh, we have it. Oh, we have it.
Okay, that's good.
But so yeah, it's like the Watchtower is the meeting place of the heroes. It's where heroes congregate, and so that's what we are trying to do is to bring everyone in the community together. It's a place to connect.
Since you opened, what has been like the biggest surprise to you about everything?
The support.
Support. I was going to say the same thing, man. Don't sleep on the geek community.
Yeah.
It's like they will support you.
Yeah.
If you're doing something that if you're doing something that the geek community feels is worthy, they will spend their last dollar. They will blast you on social media in a good way. They will share to all of their friends and get people to come in. It's just the support has been overwhelming.
We get a lot of gifts too.
Yeah.
Like people just drop off like all of this great stuff. Like we were talking about, we got a projector screen. So a lot of people were asking about that, and we're like, yeah, we've got a projector screen. Someone gave it to us. And we just went ahead and mounted it on the wall, and they're like, well, where's the projector? And it's like, well,
we don't have one yet.
Yeah.
We're looking for one.
And we had a regular customer who's not even necessarily geeky. He just really liked the atmosphere. He came in one day and he's carrying a big old projector, and he just gave us a projector. And then all of our friends that, if they're cleaning out their garages, have like the big things of comic books, they'll be like, I bet Watchtower would enjoy these. And then they come over and drop those off. So
we've kind of become, I've told people that we'll be the thrift store, we'll be the DI of your geek, all of your geek things, like whether it's toys or comic books. And what we do is when we get really cool things, we kind of box them and put them aside in the basement, and we use them for prizes. Every Tuesday night we have an open mic comedy night with Comedy Roadkill, and we'll give them prizes to give to their comics. And Wasatch Wordsmiths, the slam poetry group, they do a slam every second Thursday at Watchtower, and so we give them prizes. And we have so many single issue comic books that have been donated to us. We haven't bought one. We have bought no comics at all. They've all been donated. We have so many that we didn't know. We've started selling them for like $1. We have $1 rack of comics. They weren't even selling fast enough for us to get through them, and now we have so many that we've decided to make every day free comic book day for kids. So if you come in with your family, if you have kids with you, they can pick out a comic book and take it home with them, whichever one they want.
We also try to make sure that everything gets a good home. So if sometimes we absorb like some really cool stuff. Like people also drop off quite a bit of toys, and then so we put toys in strategic places where either a kid can come in and they actually can like pick up the toy.
Yeah, we invite them to play with the toys.
Yeah. Other people, one of their favorite things to do at Watchtower is to grab like a couple of toys and pose them together and like take like a photo, on our counter, like maybe they're fighting or they're hugging it out or something like that.
It was during when Batman v Superman was before it had released. I went and bought like all of the action figures from the movie and had put them in fighting poses. And then somebody kept coming back. It must have been a regular, but they would come back like every couple of days and have Batman and Superman hugging each other instead.
So, but yeah, we also, I think that's why people also like giving us so many like toys and comic books, because they used to love reading or playing with those, and they want to make sure that it goes somewhere else that's like a good home where somebody could appreciate it.
It's like the ending of Toy Story 3, if you remember. Like, you had all of these boxes of toys. You just wanted them to go to, oh man, now I'm getting all choked up. That scene makes me cry. Because that's what we do. Like, we take your most valued possessions and make sure they go to a good home. Sometimes I'll see like a donation of comics and I'll be like, oh, this one is special. I'm going to put this one aside. We got a Spider-Gwen #1 and a Silk #1, which are really cool characters, especially with, for girls. There's a lot of really strong, powerful female comic book characters now. So I put those ones aside and waited for the right person to come in. There was this little girl that came in. She couldn't have been older than like 9 or 10. And I asked her, like her mom or her grown-up. Her grown-up was with her and ordered some coffee and stuff. And I just asked the girl, do you like comics? Her eyes just bug-eyed, lit up. She's like, yeah. So I said, you see those comics over there? You can go ahead and pick one and keep it. Take it with you. And she just bolted and started going through. Well, it was like 15 minutes that she couldn't decide on which comic. I said, hey, have you ever heard of Spider-Gwen? And she's like, no, I haven't. I said, hold on, I got something special for you. So I went back and pulled it out of the special box in the office and a couple of other girl characters, strong female characters, and handed them over to her. And I don't know that those are her first comic books, but for sure that was like a lasting impression that it gave. And I know for a fact the owner of those comics, Danielle Uberallis from the Hello Sweetie podcast, she gave those to us, and I promised her that I would give them to the right person. And I told her that story, and I think she got the chills too. So we will Toy Story 3 the hell out of your stuff.
In closing, what is everyone's favorite coffee beverage? Steve?
Oh yeah, see, I'm a Dr. Pepper drinker. Sorry. I know. Don't hate me. I need sugar. I need sugar. But I love mochas. Does that work? And that's with
mocha,
chocolate
for sure. Oh, of course you love mochas.
I know.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
I'm bringing that back.
Do you guys have a chocolate sauce?
Yeah. We have a hot fudge.
A hot
that
fudge?
we do. Yeah.
Can we go to Hatch
Yes.
later and try their chocolate?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, we can.
I'm a chocoholic.
We can get you
Hardcore.
set up.
Mike, what's your favorite drink?
Man, it changes from day to day. Usually, so my gauge when I go to a coffee shop is I'll get a pour over and a double shot of espresso, and that's how I kind of like can gauge the quality of their coffee. I think those are probably my two favorite: pour over and just a double shot of espresso.
I've been addicted to cortados lately. I go through phases. Honestly, when I first we started up Watchtower, it was my mission to make the best pumpkin spice latte in
Tis the
Salt Lake
season.
City. Yeah, and it's coming back, and I love it so very much. So I guess
I just
maybe
made
that's
a
actually my favorite.
huge batch of our pumpkin,
And it's so
sauce.
good. He needed me to try some, and I was like, no, I'm gonna fall off the white girl wagon. So, and I did. I fell
She
hard.
fell off. She fell hard.
Yeah, but otherwise, I like just like a standard cortado, which is either 2 or 4 shots of espresso and then equal amounts of milk. So it's like a very concentrated latte.
Andrea?
I like cozy time. I do like hot drinks, but I often don't order hot drinks. If it's a good coffee place, man, just straight up iced coffee. Love it. Love a good cold brew. But then I think because of the name, I just love ordering a dirty chai. Especially if it's spicy.
It's always kind of awkward because we do ask, like, do you want like a spicy chai or do you want a sweet chai? Because we have 2 different types of chai. And then people are like, yeah, can you add like a shot to it or something like that? And I'm sitting there like in the coffee shop, like, dirty spicy chai, dirty sweet chai, sweet dirty chai.
They always get up embarrassed and hide their face. That's mine.
Hey, Dylan, we haven't plugged your address. Like, keep saying it. Tell us your hours and where you're at again.
Can I say my favorite
Yeah.
coffee?
Wait,
Absolutely.
no. Come on, Dylan.
Caramel macchiato. I usually get that just
So
about anywhere.
what's like an American macchiato or the traditional European macchiato?
American.
American, like the Starbucks kind. Gotcha. We can make that.
So back to Steve's question. Address,
I mean,
hours.
you're open right now.
We're open right now.
Yeah. It feels like we're almost always open. We are at 1588 South and State Street. So if you're familiar with State Street, we're right across the way from the community college, the South City campus, and we're nestled right in between Ironclad Tattoo Shop and Uprock, a hip hop shop. So, and our hours are we open at 8. We're a little bit of a later coffee shop. So we open from 8 to midnight, Monday through Friday, and then 9 to midnight on Saturdays and Sundays.
7 days a week to midnight.
And then social media, Watchtower at Watch.
It's at Watchtower on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Watchtower Cafe. Sorry, Watchtower Cafe on Facebook.
With the 2 T's?
No, with no T's. It was Watch Hour. It still makes me so mad. But yeah, Watchtower Cafe on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And the website's watchtower-cafe.com.
.com. Yep.
Andrea, do you have anything to add? Steve, any final
No,
thoughts?
I want to go.
Okay.
No, I'm just really impressed. And what I really like about it is you can just feel the passion that you guys have. And I think that's what's amazing, because for you, it's not a job. It's actually.
I wouldn't be doing it
you're
if it was
all
a job.
like lit up, just excited, talking about what you guys do and what you did for that little girl and all of your customers. That's amazing, and that's what I want to go experience.
Doesn't it go away though after like 3 years?
I hope not.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Like all my all business owner friends are like, you like it right now, but I remember those days when I was still passionate about it. Like, oh man, if this ever becomes not fun anymore, I'm done. I'm going to move on to the next thing. Yeah, for sure.
I've got a whole list of businesses I want to open up. So
we'll just throw a
move
dart
on to
at
the
one
next
of them.
one.
Next.
Yeah.
No, I'm having way too much fun right now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Watchtower Cafe, Mike
Thank
and Cori.
you.
Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Steve. And we'll try to fit another episode in before I go on vacation to Disneyland and Universal.
I'm jealous.
We'll geek out after that. Thank you, everybody, and good night.